One of the most terrifying things I can hear my GPS tell me to do, and which is what inspired this video as I was driving, is to make a left turn. Turn left on whatever, especially if it's a left turn on an uncontrolled intersection onto a divided highway or some other busy road, right? You leave a grocery store parking lot, you got to turn left onto a major highway. Oh my God. You get up to the intersection, by the time you hear it's turn left, usually there's already traffic behind you. You can't really back out of it. Sometimes you can turn right and hope to turn back around somewhere. And after I had a bad experience earlier today, I decided to go online to read about it. And I learned that UPS or some other delivery services don't even allow their drivers to turn left, which kind of shows me that it is possible to get around without ever turning left. It made me wonder why the average Joe can't look up directions with an option to not turn left, right? On Google search, there are options to allow you to avoid toll roads, to avoid freeways. Why not left turns as well? And then it got me thinking even better, why don't we design our roads and our infrastructure to facilitate minimizing or even abolishing left turns altogether? I want to see the future where nobody has to make a left turn, right? And left turns being completely abolished. I actually do want to see that. The left turns give me a lot of anxiety. To give you an idea of how much anxiety they give me, I have such a huge aversion to hearing my GPS say turn left that sometimes the concept of left comes up in other places and it gives me a surge of anxiety. I work as a private tutor and sometimes something comes up, right? I'll be teaching about the concept of left and right, or the concept of using your left hand to do something. Oh my God, as soon as I hear the word left, I get a huge surge of anxiety in my head. I've had several car accidents, some of them involving left turns, and just not a pleasant topic to think about for me. So the first thing I want to abolish is left turns. Now last night I was reading an article about a pizza delivery driver who was really upset about a situation involving tipping, and I hope tipping gets abolished. Now don't get me wrong. I have nothing against the service workers. I have something against how they're paid and our tipping culture especially. Now this pizza delivery driver had delivered 20 boxes of pizza to an apartment. It was about $900, and the security guard had let him in and thought he was doing really well, wished him a good evening, and he went to the apartment upstairs, and he came downstairs and he was heartbroken. And the security guard asked what happened, and he said, well, he only got a $20 tip out of an $800 delivery. Now I gotta point out something. It's still $20 out of however amount of time he worked, right? Just because somebody orders big doesn't mean it takes up that much more time or effort or something, right? During the pandemic, there were a couple times when I had to quarantine at home and I would order stuff on Instacart or Grubhub, and it always hit me that our tipping has very little bearing to do with the volume of work involved. I have dietary restrictions, so oftentimes what I order has a good amount of value per weight or per volume. So for example, a baking chocolate bar just like this one, I paid about $4 for this. Now somebody else might be ordering a candy bar that also weighs 4 ounces. That's mostly sugar. It might be $1 or $2, and I'm expected to tip more, even though it's from the point of view of the delivery driver, it's the same work, right? It never really made sense to me why it's a percentage, and it causes all sorts of interesting conflict because our tips are in a percentage. Oftentimes when I go out to eat alone, I'm solo sexual, right? I enjoy romance to myself. oftentimes the waiter just assumes that I'm not going to tip as much as a table of two. And the truth is, when people accept me for being solo-sexual, I tip very well. It's not unusual for me to tip 50, 100% of the tab when I get well accepted for who I am. Of course, the server doesn't know that. I actually had a friend who suggested that I tip up front, like before the meal even comes. I don't know if that will turn out very well here in the United States, but I guess I could give that a try at some point. Maybe on Valentine's Day when I go out, I'll give that a try. But, so they don't give me very good service because they're expecting a low tip. And sure enough, I don't tip very well because I get bad service. Not because I'm single, but because you didn't care about me. And that just renegotiates itself. The concept that singles don't tip, the concept that certain racial minorities don't tip, it just renegotiates itself, right? Now, speaking of being accepted for being single, recently Biden was signing some bill about gay marriage, about interracial marriage. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually like those, the concept of accepting those people for who they are, but I don't think it's government's job to regulate who marries who, right? The concept of marriage ought to be deleted from all concept of government, right? So in other words, we shouldn't have joint tax returns, and the concept of who you're married to, it's just like government doesn't regulate who you make friends with, right? Why is marriage something that the government should have a say in? Now, we're in a new year. Is 2023 going to be the year we finally abolish daylight savings time?